You know what they never tell you about aging? That sometimes you don't. Not really. Not in the way people expect. I still get carded sometimes. At 44 I should find it flattering, but mostly I find it amusing. Because it's not just the smooth skin or the way my waist still fits into my pre-motherhood jeans. It's the energy, the edge. I've always had a flair for dressing sharp. Effortless but polished. Lips a soft cherry red. Heels tall enough to command attention. I don't do it for anyone but myself. Or at least I didn't think I did. Until I started noticing the way my son looked at me. It began so gradually, like light shifting across a room. Tyler was always sweet, affectionate in that charming, slightly mischievous way that boys can be with their mothers when they think they're being clever. But something changed around the time he turned 25. It wasn't anything he said outright. It was how he said it. How his compliments stopped sounding casual and started sounding deliberate. "That dress makes you look dangerous," he said once, leaning against the doorframe, watching me before a gallery opening. I laughed, thinking it was just a throwaway comment. But when I met his eyes in the mirror, I saw it, the way he was studying me. Not with admiration but with fascination. I didn't say anything. I told myself it was harmless. But it stayed with me. That summer, we both found ourselves with freer schedules than usual. His job went remote. Mine, consulting in fashion and branding, gave me the flexibility to float between coasts. We started spending more time together. Lunches, walks through open-air markets, art shows. Tyler had always been close to me, especially since his father left when he was 11. It was just us most of the time. I was mother and father, shelter and structure, but now we were both adults. And there was something unfamiliar in the way he lingered around me, something that made my pulse stutter. He started joking about my dating life. Or rather, the lack of it. "You know," he said over brunch one Sunday, swirling his mimosa, "if you ever needed a wingman, I'm pretty good at making people jealous." I narrowed my eyes, amused. "Is that your way of saying you'd flirt with me for practice?" He smiled, wolfish. "I mean, it wouldn't be hard. You're gorgeous." I rolled my eyes. But the compliment? It settled somewhere deeper than I wanted to admit. I didn't answer right away. Just stirred my coffee, pretending the rising heat in my cheeks was from the sun streaming through the window. This is ridiculous, I told myself. He's just teasing. Being playful. Doesn't mean anything. But then came the party. An exclusive, members-only masquerade in a converted downtown warehouse. My best friend, Sasha, had pulled strings to get us in. She loved themed events, especially the kind where anonymity gave people permission to be reckless. The dress code was decadent. Velvet, feathers, silver and gold masks. I wore a fitted black gown with a high slit and a beaded mask that shimmered every time I moved. My hair was swept into a low chignon. I looked different, daring. Sasha whistled when I stepped out of the Uber. "If you get lucky tonight, you better not ghost me tomorrow." I laughed. "I'm not here for that." Sure. And I'm not wearing 6-inch heels to meet a married architect. We entered the party just as the DJ shifted into a slower beat. Bodies moved like shadows under moody red lights, masked and confident, everything bathed in mystery. I hadn't told Tyler I was going. I didn't think I needed to. This was my night. Or so I thought. I was dancing when it happened. Not provocatively. Just letting go. Letting the bass thrum through my ribs. The silk of my dress catch against my thighs. Sasha was with me, sipping something too pink in a martini glass, when I felt a body move behind me. Not pushy. Not drunk. Just close. I froze for a second, but the rhythm caught me again and I let the moment pass. Until Sasha's expression shifted. She gave me a look, eyebrows raised, then pointed over her shoulder with her chin. Turned. And there he was. Strong. Masked in navy with gold trim. His eyes were familiar, unmistakable, deep-set and stormy. He was smiling slightly, like he knew something I didn't. May I? He asked, voice low, already placing his hands near my hips as if I'd already said yes. He nodded. Barely. He danced behind me. Not lewd, not vulgar, but confident. His movements matched mine perfectly. Like he already knew how I moved. Like he had always known. I didn't say a word. Neither did he. Then, as the lights dimmed for the next song, he leaned in and kissed me. Deliberate. I gasped. Just a breath, but I didn't pull away. My lips responded like they belonged to someone else. Someone reckless and ageless. When he finally stepped back, he smiled again. We'll meet again, he whispered. And just like that, he was gone. I stood there, stunned. Heart racing. Sasha's drink hovered midair. Oh my God, she said, blinking. Was that? I didn't answer. Couldn't. 'Cause I knew. It was Tyler. And I had kissed him back. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed, still in my silk robe, mascara faint beneath my eyes, staring at the ceiling fan moving in slow, hypnotic turns. The taste of champagne lingered on my tongue, but beneath it was something else. Salt and something sweet. Something forbidden. I kept seeing his eyes behind that mask. The way he had looked at me as if I were a mystery worth solving. How he kissed me, fearless and curious. And how I let him. He didn't know. That was the only thing that kept me from unraveling completely. Tyler had no idea who I was in that moment. The mask, the gown, the lights. It had all cloaked me in anonymity. I could barely recognize myself. Of course he didn't. And yet, I couldn't stop the way my chest ached with both shame and anticipation. The next morning, I was already in the kitchen when he came downstairs, rubbing his eyes, hair tousled, the way he looked when he was little and had just woken from a nap. I had poured 2 cups of coffee and was trying desperately to pretend I hadn't been up all night haunted by his kiss. He slid into the chair across from me with a sleepy smirk. Rough night. I stirred my coffee. I could ask you the same. He laughed. Yeah, well, I think I fell in love with someone last night. My spoon clinked too hard against the mug. I glanced up sharply. He was grinning, but there was something dreamy in his expression. She was older. Maybe late 30s or early 40s. Legs for days. Gorgeous. Elegant. Danced like she didn't care who was watching. I stared at him, heart pounding. You talked to her? I asked, forcing my voice steady. He shook his head, leaning back in his chair. Didn't need to. I danced with her. Said maybe 3 words. Kissed her once. His smile turned softer. But it felt like, I don't know, like I'd known her forever. Like she'd been waiting for me. I nearly dropped my mug. Was she wearing black? I asked before I could stop myself. Tyler's eyes lit up. Yeah. How'd you know? I pressed a smile to my lips. Just a guess. He leaned forward, elbows on the table. I told her. We'll meet again. And I meant it. I've been thinking about her all morning. My stomach twisted. I nodded slowly, letting the silence fill the room between us. He didn't know. He truly didn't. But I did. And I couldn't tell him. Not because I feared what he'd say, but because I feared what it meant that I had kissed him back. That night stayed with me like perfume on skin, impossible to scrub away. I told myself it was a mistake. That I had been caught in the moment, the illusion of the mask, the music, the anonymity. But I also remembered the way my body had responded. Not in fear, not in confusion, but in something dangerously close to longing. He was magnetic, even without knowing it was me. The following week, I noticed everything had changed in subtle, silent ways. Tyler was distracted. Not in a distant way, but in the way someone becomes obsessed. I caught him talking on the phone to one of his friends late one night. His voice quiet but urgent. I shouldn't have listened. I knew I shouldn't. But I did. I can't get her out of my head, man, he whispered. She kissed like she meant it. I swear she's all I think about. I want to find her again. Talk to her. Know her. She was like a dream. My heart climbed into my throat. He paused, then chuckled low. No, I didn't get her name. She didn't say a word. But that made it hotter, honestly. I leaned against the wall outside his door, hands trembling. This couldn't go on. I had to say something. Or had to stay away. And then Sasha called. Maskless party this weekend, she chirped. Downtown. Everyone who was at the masquerade's going. And it's your turn to be my wing woman. I opened my mouth to say no. To say I had too much going on. But the words didn't come. Because something inside me wanted to go. Wanted to be seen again. Wanted him to see me and know. That night, after Sasha hung up, I stood in front of my closet for hours. Sequins or silk. Red or black again. Hair up or down. Every choice felt monumental. Chose blue. Royal and bold. With a slit up the side and a plunging back. I didn't look like anyone's mother in that dress. I looked like someone who danced without fear. Someone who had once been kissed in the dark by someone who didn't know the truth, and who still longed for it anyway. I told myself this was just curiosity. Just a way to reclaim the moment for myself. But when I arrived at the club, music pulsing, lights flashing like sirens, and saw him there, leaning at the bar in dark jeans and a gray shirt that clung to his body like a second skin, I knew. This was no longer just about masks. This was about us. About what had already begun and couldn't be undone. He didn't see me at first. I let the music take over, dancing alone, eyes closed, sweat gathering at the nape of my neck. Red and blue lights shimmered across the room like some strange electric ocean. Then I felt him. Behind me. Again. This time there was no mask. No cover. No excuse. But I didn't turn. Not yet. I kept my eyes closed longer than I should have. He was behind me again, closer this time. The music had slowed, but the beat still trembled through the soles of my heels. I felt his breath before I felt his hands. One rested gently on my hip, the other hovered, uncertain, as if asking permission to stay. It wasn't like last time. This time I knew. And yet I didn't move. I let the moment stretch, taut like a wire. My body swayed in time with his. I could feel his heat through the thin fabric of my dress. Could feel the way his fingers twitched, like he wanted to pull me closer, like his mind was fighting a war against his instinct. Still I didn't turn around. Not yet. Maybe I thought if I didn't see his face, I could pretend a little longer. Pretend this wasn't my son dancing behind me. Pretend I was someone else. A woman in a club on a summer night, wanted and seen and free. But then Sasha appeared again, only for a heartbeat. She stood across the dance floor, eyebrows raised, sipping her drink slowly. Her eyes darted to the man behind me. And then, in one slow motion, she widened her eyes, shook her head almost imperceptibly, and gestured with her chin. I understood instantly. Turn around. I did. Quickly. Too quickly. And then I froze. He froze. For a second, the music faded, or maybe it was just my body forgetting how to hear anything at all. Tyler stood there, a hand still outstretched. His eyes widened, not in horror, not in shame, but in disbelief. It was like I had pulled the rug out from beneath a dream he wasn't ready to wake from. His mouth parted, but no words came. He tried. And then he laughed. A single breath of stunned air. No way. I swallowed hard, stepping back. My heart was a runaway drum. It's me, I said, my voice too soft to belong in a place like this. He didn't answer. Instead, he stared at me for a long time. His eyes traveled down the neckline of my dress, to the way the blue silk hugged my hips, to the place where the slit opened just above my thigh. His gaze lingered, not like a sun. Not anymore. He took a step forward. Close enough that I could feel the warmth radiating off him. You, he began, almost whispering. You were her. He nodded. He didn't laugh again. He didn't run. Instead, he whispered. That makes too much sense. I should have walked away right then. I should have shaken my head and told him to forget it. That it was a mistake. That I didn't mean to kiss him back. That the mask had tricked me. But I didn't. Instead I whispered, "You didn't know." His eyes searched mine. "No. But now I do. And it's worse because I still." He cut himself off. "Still what, Tyler?" He looked like he wanted to say everything and nothing at once. I turned to walk away, dizzy with adrenaline and disbelief. But then he grabbed my hand. "Just lightly. Just enough." "I'm not going to say anything stupid," he said. "But, can we just have a drink? One drink? Let it not be a secret for a second." I hesitated. Then I nodded. We found a quieter corner near the back. The walls were covered in velvet. The booth lit by dim red lamps that made everything look softer, blurred at the edges. He ordered for both of us. Bourbon for him, something floral and light for me. I kept my hands in my lap. "You look," he started, then faltered. "You look incredible tonight. But I guess you already know that." I shook my head. "I didn't come here for you." He smiled crooked. "Didn't stop you from kissing me." The air grew tight. I whispered, "You kissed me first." He leaned back, exhaling through his nose. "That's what makes it worse. Or better. I don't know anymore." I couldn't look at him. But I also couldn't look away. We sipped our drinks. The conversation was quiet, shadowed. We talked about nothing, movies, food, people at the party, like it was all normal. But every silence between us said what we couldn't. When the drinks were gone, he held up his empty glass and said, "This feels like a scene from a movie. The kind where nothing makes sense, and you don't want it to." I didn't answer. 'Cause I felt it too. When we left the club, the night air was cooler than I expected. We were both a little unsteady, on our feet, in our minds. We didn't drive. We walked. And laughed. Too hard, too much, the way people laugh when they're scared of what happens next. Somehow, we ended up back at the house. Tyler kicked off his shoes first, flopped onto the couch like a boy again. "Can't believe I just danced with you. Again." "You kissed me," I said, sitting down beside him. He smiled, eyes half-lidded. "I regret nothing." I rolled my eyes. But I was smiling too. We talked more. Memories, childhood things, his dreams, the way he always thought I was too cool to be a mom. And somewhere between midnight and whatever came after, we both fell asleep on the couch. Still fully dressed. Still tangled in something we didn't understand. In the morning, I woke to sunlight on my face, blanket half fallen off my legs. He was already awake, sitting beside me, watching me. "Morning, naughty girl," he said, grinning, coffee in hand. I groaned, covering my eyes. "Don't call me that. You don't remember anything." "I remember too much." He laughed, handing me a mug. "Relax. You didn't do anything unforgivable." "Are you sure?" He sipped his coffee. We danced. We drank. Talked. Then we passed out. I looked at him, still unsure. But what if I had? What if I? He shrugged. Then I'd still be here, making you coffee, saying good morning. There was something different in the way he said it. No pressure, just presence, like I didn't have to pretend with him anymore. He leaned forward then, slowly, carefully, and kissed my shoulder. Soft, simple thing. "I like taking care of you," he said, brushing my hair back from my cheek. "You don't let anyone else do it." Closed my eyes. And let him. I thought he would be angry when he found out. Or disgusted. Or cold. Or quiet. But Tyler was none of those things. He was calm. Steady. Too steady. The morning I found him already awake, sitting at the kitchen island, scrolling his phone like it was any other day. A cup of coffee sat in front of him. Another one was waiting beside it. For me. Paused in the doorway, unsure. He looked up and smiled. Not awkward. Not uncertain. Just warm. "Morning," he said. I approached slowly, the air too still around us. You knew last night, didn't you? He didn't pretend. Didn't stall. I didn't know until the second I touched you, he said softly. It wasn't like before. At the masquerade I was guessing. Had a feeling. But last night, I didn't know. And I didn't care. I stared at him. Tyler. I know what you're going to say, he interrupted, setting down his phone. But I need you to hear this first. He stood, walked over to me, and gently placed the mug into my hands. You looked like a dream, he said. Not a fantasy. Not a costume. And I couldn't pretend anymore. I lowered my gaze. It's not supposed to be like this. I know, he said. But it is like this. So what do we do now? I shook my head, breath-catching. You're my son. His eyes met mine without flinching. And you're the most beautiful woman I've ever known. I've tried to fight it, Mom. I've tried to rationalize it away. But it's been there for a long time. I think you knew it too. Closed my eyes. I didn't want to. But you did. I didn't argue. 'Cause it was true. He took my hand and led me to the couch. The same one we'd fallen asleep on after the last party. We sat in silence for a moment, the morning light falling in through the windows like a confession. I think what scares me most, I whispered, is that I liked it. That I like being wanted like that. By you. I don't want you to be ashamed of that, he said, his voice barely audible. You deserve to be wanted. You deserve to feel alive. I looked at him, really looked at him, and I saw no fear in his eyes, no hesitation, only devotion. We stayed like that for a while. Close, quiet, wrapped in something we didn't name. The world didn't exist beyond the walls of our home. Later I found him out on the porch. He was leaning against the rail, watching the trees shift gently in the breeze. I stepped out barefoot, wrapping a shawl around my shoulders. He didn't turn, but he knew I was there. I can't stop thinking about you, he said. I'm right here, I replied. He turned then, his expression open, vulnerable. A man looking at a woman, like someone who had chosen to see me without the filter of what was expected. He came inside later and brought me coffee again. This time he didn't say anything when he placed it down. Just kissed the top of my shoulder gently and walked away. And something in me exhaled. Didn't make sense. It wasn't safe. But for once in my life, I didn't feel invisible. Felt seen. He still touches me softly when we pass each other in the hall. Still smiles at me like he's holding a secret the world couldn't possibly understand. And I let him. Because sometimes love isn't clean. Sometimes it doesn't belong in categories. Sometimes it exists in the quiet spaces where we choose not to lie to ourselves anymore. We don't talk about it much. We don't have to. But every now and then, when he brings me my coffee and brushes his lips against my shoulder, I know he remembers that kiss. And I remember too. With guilt. But with fire.